Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and we want to show you some flower photos. And here's one of the books I like for trying to identify myself. What I really like is somebody else to just tell me because I can't figure them all out. That's tall grass species. That will be a flower. That's buds. It's out on Pinnacle Wet Prairie, west of World Peace Wetland Prairie. There's another grass with its little pods trying to open. Little tiny flowers there. It's very hard to ever get a decent picture. I have to take one off and scan it. There's another species out there in the tall grass right now. This year, there's been so much rain that there's more of the true wetland species growing. So you have a lot of reed, sedge, and rush plants, and they're mixed. I have to think carefully to sort them out. There are a lot of ways to tell. But anyway, if you have a good book, it'll help. That's, well, I'm not going to say what I think that is. It's about to open. It's another tall prairie plant. And there's, gosh, I should have cropped that thing because I believe it's some sunflowers, and they'll be blooming here in another few weeks. But anyway, when I shoot wide, I can't see them on the monitor very well. But there you can see that mix of tall, true wetland species. I'm talking about not just seasonal wetland. That's part of Pinnacle Prairie that has a flow practically all year long. But those things are much more widespread on the central area of Pinnacle Prairie this year than usual. Goes and comes. Depends on how much rain there is in the early spring, and those things get a head start on the forbs, shall we say, as opposed to the grass type species. But anyway, the sedge and the rush and the others have great value and to wildlife species, just as the forbs do. Anyway, the books will show you these things, and Arkansas Wildflowers by Don Kurtz. It was actually published by Tim Ernst, and I'm not sure why the slide's not changing right now, but anyway, can't say much more about that slide, but anyhow, this Kurtz's book is quite good, and the photos are much larger and made digitally. That's a crawdad chimney, and it looks like a white flower almost on the monitor to me from here, but it's a huge one with a huge hole, and the chimney's fallen down, but that thing was probably a foot high when the water was really high this spring because the crawdad had to get out for air. But anyhow, that's a beautiful sensitive briar, and now you're seeing a blue, excuse me, slowed me down here. Missed one or two there. Need to cough, I think. Okay, let's get back on the thing. This is the rattlesnake master, and that's a tall plant. Some of them are 6 feet tall. That's Coreopsis, and the item of interest is that longhorned grasshopper nymph. So I blew that one up and cropped it a bit to see that tiny potential grasshopper, soon to be, we hope. And there's a pale photo, a pale flower that I did not identify. It's actually sort of yellow, and it's got an interesting insect. This was one of the more interesting insects this week that I captured, and it's a type of leaf-foot bug, true bug family, the scientists tell us. It's also on sensitive briar. That was the sensitive briar's beautiful bright red flower you saw a while ago. So I shot that guy from many angles, and close and far and side, and when he's upside down hanging, and I think those bugs are very interesting. See, the legs are enlarged as compared to a grasshopper, but sometimes they flatten out like a wing on certain species. And there's blue flower on Pinnacle Wet Prairie, and you can see the trucks in the parking lot of the Pinnacle Food Company in the background. And this one's got a tiny white spider on it. And this spider is not there to eat the plant. This spider is hiding there hoping for a butterfly or a bee or another kind of spider or wasp or anything that gets close. He's going to grab it. So that's his hidey hole to hunt from. And he didn't want to leave there. I was able to turn the thing upside down and turn it toward the camera for a close-up, and he didn't really move substantially. Last one was a day-flying moth, flicker moth. Well, until next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See ya. Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd. Here's another of the books that I use in trying to identify flowers, in addition to Carl Hunter's old book, Wildflowers of Tennessee, Ohio Valley, and Southern Appalachians. That includes Northwest Arkansas in its coverage because most of North America, eastern United States, and parts of Canada have the same wildflowers, almost the same. That's the Great Spangled Fritillary on a Asclepias purpurascens, the purple milkweed. Made lots of shots there of that group of just a few of those there in that stand, but the butterflies were very active and along with other species there. So watch for those if you're driving by a prairie or along a road. Okay, this daisy-type flower has a interesting insect on it, and I cropped that too, cropped out part of the flower. And in previous short take, I showed you, this is a daisy fleabane, very tiny aster family flower with a future grasshopper on it, longhorn variety. There's a purple one I can't identify at the moment, but it's a very pleasant little 5-petaled purple. Here's a tall grass species. These are its flowers. And you see some buds there, and eventually there'll be seeds. But those flowers are really magnificent. And this is eastern gamma grass, I believe. And you can see another shot there. I've got a lot more shots, of course, of all these things on Flickr and some of them on the blogs. And I really enjoy the wildflowers. But it takes a good book and some tutoring to identify them all. Okay, that species I can't remember the name of, but it's popped up this week real big, or last week. And there's a bumblebee, or is that no, it's not a regular honeybee. Well, I can't tell for sure. I knew what it was when I posted it. But anyhow, that's another open prairie species of kind of bluish flower. And here is poppy mallow, remember the name of that one, on Pinnacle Wet Prairie. These will be blooming for maybe a month or so. You can't even find the plot. They're skinny little stems. See how skinny that is? So they're not noticeable plants among the tall grass plants and the tall forbs unless they are in bloom, and then you can spot them at a great distance sometimes. Okay, this is bergamot. This is a spectacular thing growing out there, and I just put a lot of these up. That's a day-flying moth on there, and this one illustrates the mix out on these prairies. The thing standing up in the middle in front of the bergamot picture is actually, I believe that's Japanese honeysuckle. The thing around it there is the sensitive briar plant. Okay, here's an interesting, I believe this is a bumblebee, and there's a spider on let's see, is that going to be some kind of a sunflower? There, the spider was the thing of interest, of course, so I blew him up, probably distorted him a little bit, blowing him up that big, but I wanted to see more detail for myself, and some other people like to see the detail. I understand. So here's another bergamot shot with no insect visible, although there's probably one on it somewhere that you can't see. easily. But now there you can see an insect underneath this bergamot, and on the right you can see one of the orange prairie flowers there. We're looking west on Pinnacle Wet Prairie. But I did think the bergamot was a special feature this week that deserved attention, because I spent a lot of time trying to get a few decent shots. And there's a kind of bee, or possibly a wasp. You got to learn to tell. There's so many of these, what they call flower flies, that do the same thing as bees, but they have, I think, maybe shorter little antennae, and maybe they have only 2 wings, whereas the similar-looking bees and wasps have 4. These are all little things that you have to look up if you're like me. And there, for the last few weeks, we've been showing pin steaming, and there's still quite a lot of that out on some of the prairies. And that's a coneflower, I do believe. And anyway, until next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to go out and enjoy the wildflowers of Northwest Arkansas, and do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See ya.